Welcome to another edition of the official Jets podcast, powered by Amazon Web Services. Ethan Greenberg, Eric Allen in the home studios. We'll hear from Bart Scott later in the show for our Victorinox Swiss Army Knife Player of the Game segment. We were joined by Matthias Farley on this episode, one of the coolest guys on the team, heavily involved in the community, special teams captain, and he's a member of the Jets social justice team that was recently assembled.
Yeah, it shouldn't go under the radar here during the New York Jets season. As this happened right before Christmas, the holiday season, the Jets announced a $1 million donation to 4 partner organizations as part of the team's social justice, inclusion, and diversity efforts. Those organizations, Greens, All Stars Project, Innocence Project, New York Urban League, and You're Up. And why Matthias was such a great guest today is we could talk to him about the Jets' efforts as far as addressing the social injustices in this country. And also, like you mentioned before, just a cool dude, a good football player, a special teams captain, a leader in the locker room. He's got some interesting style. He loves to travel. He's got a dog. He's
Ukulele.
Yeah, he's kind of a renaissance man, Matthias Farley.
Yeah, he is. He's a really cool dude. And let's just get right into it. Let's hear from Matthias Farley. So there's a lot that we can get into between the win yesterday against the Browns. We're recording on Monday, 11:15 a.m. or so. We can talk about your background, your family's background. I mean, there's a lot that we can get into. And, I think with that, I think something important that we should note is just your role in the community here and how much you've taken that head on. I just want to know where does that start for you, and why did you want to become such a focal point in the community?
Well, it really starts from my upbringing. I grew up very humbly in Charlotte, North Carolina. I can remember very vividly a couple Panthers players coming to my little elementary school. Um, I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade. It had a huge impact on me. I was like, these guys are, living, walking, breathing superheroes in a lot of ways. My older brothers, I have 3 older brothers, Tom, Nathan, and Keenan. They all played sports. I always looked up to them a lot and just, always kind of, idolized athletes in a way, I guess, or just, any time somebody would come share their time, it really meant a lot to me. And so now being on the opposite end of that and having the opportunity to just go be an encourager, use this platform that we've all been given. It's not a platform that lasts forever. And, I think it's really important to go out and do good wherever you can, because while you're backed by the NFL Shield, the Jets organization, and the market in which we play. And I think it's really important, whatever team you're on, to go out and just really try to give back, because you don't know whose life it could impact ultimately.
There's so many things I want to cover with you today. Some are fun, some are serious, and then other topics just include talking about ball. But what can you tell me about the Jets' social justice, diversity, and inclusion team that where club ownership's a part of it, senior executives, and player leadership, because you're part of that, and the 4 areas that you guys chose to focus on here in making an impact: poverty, race equality, diversity and inclusion, and criminal justice reform. Why those 4, and how did this all originate?
Well, obviously, this year's been a crazy year in a lot of ways. There's been a lot of social injustice, unrest. I don't think that's not been going on. I think it's just become more to the forefront. And so, for Mr. Johnson, as well as the whole Johnson family, to not only verbally support the initiatives of the players or organizations that we've partnered with, they really put their money where their mouth is in a lot of ways, and really have gone out into the community collectively, along with the council and player council, and targeted 4 great organizations that we're going to be able to build relationships with that are going to have a lasting impact. So it's not just this happened, this is upsetting, a little dialogue about it, then it kind of goes away. This is something that's going to be ongoing here in the community. And I think it's going to be really beneficial for everyone moving forward to, see that, ownership of teams and, the leadership within the organization, and then players are all getting involved in uniting over these really important issues in our country today. So it's really special to be a part of an organization where you have ownership that backs you in that way and really goes out and gets into the trenches with you and wants to make a change as well.
But is that something you volunteered for, Matthias, as far as you wanted to be part of that player leadership committee? Is that something where you guys had a meeting, or did some of the guys say, hey, Matthias, would you be interested in doing that? Or maybe somebody in the organization, because like Ethan just pointed out, you're very active in the community with Jesse Linders, Vice President of Community Relations, and you did a lot of things at your previous stop with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, it's definitely something that was brought to my attention. I jumped at the opportunity to be a part of it. Like I said, just going back to this platform we have, we can really evoke change. We can evoke conversations, dialogue. Social justice at the end of the day is something that has been going on injustice, I should say, has been going on for a very, very long time in our country. And it really starts with just having conversations where, people can speak and be heard, but also, bigger than that here, what's going on in the Jets organization is just we're going out into the community and seeking out those conversations and those connections and relationships with people in the community. So it's really something that's kind of at the forefront of the change that everybody's looking to be a part of. And I think it's really special and rare to have an opportunity to do it at this level.
Matthias, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but have you ever had an encounter with social injustice, whether it was you or family member, and what made you why is this issue in the country so important to you, and why do you want to be on the forefront of the team that EA just detailed out?
Yeah, I mean, I have. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and hash out all through it, but at the end of the day, it's something that a lot of Americans experience on a day-in and day-out basis, and it's something that a lot of Americans don't experience on a day-in and day-out basis. And so I think just seeing other people's perspectives, seeing other people's side of the story, their experience, living in this country, which is still the greatest country on earth, but it's not like there's, a perfection or, it's not like anything's perfect anywhere. So I'm really, really excited to be a part of the positive dialogue, that what can we do moving forward conversation. Things have happened. I'm sure people have experienced things much worse than I've experienced. I'm a child of a biracial marriage. My dad's white, my mom's black, so I kind of grew up in this, obviously seeing both sides of things, having a black parent and a white parent, just how they've loved each other throughout. I think it, myself and all my siblings grow up with this view of the world that people are just people, and so to be in a place where you can echo that message that we might be different, we might look different, we might have different interests, but at the end of the day, we all need oxygen, we all need water, we all need to eat. There's all those basic human necessities that we all share. So I think when we focus on the things that bring us together as opposed to the things that tear us apart, we can really move forward.
Matthias, are you proud of the way athletes have responded during the pandemic to all these social injustices out there? Because I've been working in the National Football League for 20 plus years, and I think sometimes there's a lot of pressure on players, professional athletes, not only to perform on the field, but also to take a stance on a number of issues that people want addressed in the community. And also, did that draw you to football when you were a kid? The melting pot inside the locker room. That's what guys have always talked about, that I might be sitting next to somebody who is a different race,
Right.
a different religion, and the list goes on. But inside a locker room, you guys all had that common belief, and you got to try to move forward together. Is that one of the things that drew you to football? And I know it's a long-winded question, but getting back to my first point, like the way athletes, not only in the National Football League and inside the organization here, have responded, but kind of around the world globally as far as standing up.
Well, I think it's been a huge uniting force. Obviously, teams go out and compete against each other. You're all chasing the same end result, whether it be a Super Bowl trophy, an NBA championship, MLS championship, European soccer championship. There's all sorts of things that everybody's competing against each other to obtain. But I think when something brings everybody together in the way it has, like this social injustice in our country, I think it's really special. I think it's really special to be a part of. I think it has a huge impact because, while we might be going head to head, trying to run through each other, day in and day out on a football field, or whatever the arena of competition is. But when you can put all that down, come together, and be like, there's something it's bigger than sports. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people's lives day in and day out that are affected by what's going on, and going back to just having the platform to really speak up for the people who don't have the opportunity to voice that, I think is super important. A lot of guys come from those areas and those situations, where you might experience, social injustice in some way that shapes your life in a negative way, potentially. And so to be surrounded by people who are black, white, brown, from different countries, there's guys in the league. We had, Australian guy on the team last year. There's the initiatives with like England. There's a couple running backs throughout the league. So it's really brought a lot of awareness and a lot of camaraderie within the locker room of guys. Yes, you go to battle with. Yes, you're with each other all the time. But when you really get to a serious topic like social injustice in our country and what we can do to change that using our platform, when you have guys of all social, economic backgrounds, races, ethnicities, all that stuff, I think it's super awesome. And then I think sports have always been just a super amazing outlet for me my entire life. I've always loved everybody. I love people. At the end of the day, like I said, growing up in a biracial household, it made it pretty simple to love everybody because, I'm related to everybody. Locker rooms are really special places. I think you really learn a lot about yourself in a locker room. I think you learn about so many other people's experiences to get in that locker room. I think it's a really, really special place where there's a lot of things that are stripped away. People in the context of being a teammate first and foremost, and you realize, like, oh, you got kids, you got a family, you're one of X amount of children. So you start learning about people's stories and what it took for them to get there, the sacrifices that other people made that enabled them to get there. Everybody has a path to be in a locker room at whatever level that is. And so I think there is something intangible and special about just being around that many people who are working towards the same goal, whether they come from different backgrounds or not, and just kind of putting everything aside and be like, you know what, I have your back. And I think when that's felt on and off the field, that team obviously is going to be a lot closer and then do things that, impact the community in which they play. And I think the Jets are doing an amazing job of that with these initiatives.
On a totally different, much lighter note, you play the ukulele, don't you?
Yeah, it's out of tune. I have it. You want me to grab it? It's super.
Yeah. If you want to grab it, go ahead.
I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it.
Oh, you're not going to play it?
Well, it's not tuned. But I have it.
He's saying it's not tuned.
It is. It's not tuned. That sounds terrible.
I have no musical ear, so I'm relying on you.
So, who would you like to listen to who plays that instrument? Who's good at playing that instrument?
So, I went to Notre Dame for college. Had an amazing experience there. Became really good friends with Corey Robinson. He played wide receiver. Super, super awesome guy. And he played the ukulele. And Corey was one of those people that he was an All-American football player, super talented, freakishly talented, but was so interested in so many other things at the same time. You often meet people like, oh, I like football. And like, what else do you like? Like, I like watching football. You're like, okay. But Corey wasn't like that. Corey had all these different interests. So he would always play the ukulele. He'd bring the ukulele to camp. He'd sit around and sing. And so, there's always, a blast for everybody. And he would like make up songs, be playing, just jamming. It was really peaceful, chill. So I was like, I think I would like to be like Corey more. And so I got a ukulele. He taught me a couple things. I started getting on YouTube and learning a little bit.
How about some Eddie Vedder? You play any Eddie? No?
No.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm very, very, very rudimentary in my approach.
Hey, Greg Doyle, formerly the Indianapolis Star, he wrote a column about you. And one of the quotes in there, well, not one of the quotes, one of his lines, one of his statements, he kayaks in Lake Lugano in Switzerland and rides a gondola on the canals of Venice and leaves all that beauty for a day of his off-season vacation to visit Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
That's Matthias Farley, huh?
Well, after my rookie, I'd never really gotten out of my comfort zone in a major way, I don't think. And so I was like, oh, I've always wanted to go to Europe. So I went, mobbed around for like 10 days. It was really, really awesome. It was an incredible experience. And then I've partnered, or not partnered, but became a part of an organization that it's called American Football Without Barriers. And every year we've gone on a trip. So we've gone to Portugal, we've gone to Budapest, we've gone to Germany, and we just do football camps over there. So I went to that Switzerland trip that kind of sparked my love of traveling, outside of the country, and then to get to do it with 17 to 20 other guys who play on different teams, and you're really getting to go be like an ambassador of sport in a different country has been a really cool experience.
You're a dude who's kind of open to everything, right?
Yeah, for the most part, I'm really chill at the end of the day. Like I like to, hang out with my wife, hang out with my dog, and play golf. But I'm game to go, on a random trip to Switzerland for sure.
Do you still have the German short hair pointers?
I do. Yeah, Harper. I have one.
We got a lot of visitors on the show.
Here we go.
Yeah. It's Harper. I got Harper my senior year of college. She's the most consistent thing in my life until my wife and I got married.
Yeah, I was gonna correct it right there.
Yeah. But she's definitely gone through all the transitions and all that stuff. So,
I feel like based on what EA just said and just talking to you, I feel like you have, or if you had a bucket list, it'd be pretty cool. So do you have a bucket list, or just can you talk about some things that are kind of on the short list of what you'd like to do, whether it be travel or just something like skydiving, whatever it is?
I don't really have a crazy bucket list, to be honest with you. I think so oftentimes everyone gets so focused on the things that, I hope to do this, I hope to do this, I hope to do this. And then you leave yourself, potentially disappointed at the end of your life. And I really, I'm trying to live with the mindset that you never know when things are going to end, really, and to focus really on the present and being present in each and every moment, and not. I want to be in a space where I can always yes, let's go do that. But I don't have like a crazy bucket list. I would like to play random golf courses all over the world. I think that would be really fun.
What's your handicap right now?
I don't know, probably like 1,000.
Come on. You brought up golf a couple times already, so we know you're sub 100.
It's a great pastime. I really enjoy it. Frustrating in a lot of ways, but I really do. It's the opposite of football, right? You have to slow. It's very similar to football in the sense that you're repeating the same motions over and over again. It's just slower, and opposed to having no time to think and you're just reacting. You have to be like, how did I do that again?
I like golf. I stink.
We all do. I could see you playing across the pond, we should say, over on a links course. I could see Matthias doing that. Oh, yeah. I want to ask you about the clothes, man. How do you go about what you're going to wear? Do you consider what you do, what you put on, a style, or is it just a feel?
That's a good question. I really do love fashion. I think fashion is really, really cool. Maybe not so fashion. I like people's individual styles. Growing up without a lot of resources, I would get a lot of my clothes from like secondhand stores, like Goodwill. We had a store up the street, Value Village, and you go in there, you never know what you're gonna find. You have like $10 maybe, and you're gonna try to get as much stuff as possible. So it's kind of how I grew up, just mixing matching stuff. I really just wear all black most of the time. I love shoes. I think when you're little, shoes are like your car. We always had beater cars, so if you had a nice pair of shoes, you feel like you walk in anywhere. I've always really loved shoes, but I don't know. I kind of try to get out of my comfort zone too when it comes to wearing random stuff. I think it's fun to, people think you would only wear this or that, pigeonhole you, and then you show up in some, like, I don't know, bootcut jeans, and people are real, what are you doing?
Who do you say, whose style individually do you like on the team then?
It can't be anybody conservative, because that's just not your way.
Yeah, no, I think Marcus May dresses really well. Art Millette dresses well. Connor McDermott, he's a big dude with some swag. I think that's always something you gotta, tip your hat to. It's hard for big dudes to be swaggy.
Would have never selected McDermott.
Yeah, what? He shows up and stuff. He'll be super clean. You'd be like, all right, McDermott.
Hey, are May's glasses prescription or no?
I think they are prescription, yeah, because I see contacts in.
Okay.
Quentin Williams is fresh often. Frankie Lou's fresh. I could never dress like Frankie because he's always wearing shorts no matter how cold it is. But
Yeah, Frankie's got that island vibe no matter
yeah,
what
yeah,
the
yeah,
weather
yeah.
is.
I don't have it like that, but Frankie definitely got it.
But
Hey, real quick
what about
transition.
the Oos Juice sweatshirt? You got one of those?
Yeah, I've actually ordered all the crew necks. I'm waiting for their arrival.
Really?
All
Yeah,
the crew necks?
I'm a big crew neck fan. I like to work out in them, so
Yeah.
it'll be a good off season, everyday rotation.
You
You
gotta
had a
support the teammates.
Got to.
you had a hell of a year at Notre Dame 2012, but it ended against Alabama
Yeah,
42-14.
yeah. Thank you.
Notre Dame's playing Alabama this weekend. What's gonna happen? You gonna be watching that game?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm a diehard. I'm rolling with my Irish boys all day, every day. Obviously, 2012 didn't go the way we wanted, but it's a chance at another opportunity. I tip my hat to everybody on the team. They've definitely, really any team who's gotten to this point in the college football season or the NFL season as well. It's taken a lot of resiliency and guys really being locked in. It's probably a lot harder to do in college. So my hat goes off to everybody involved.
Yeah, you got anything else?
No, I wish you a lot of luck this weekend. We gotta have you back on the podcast though, because
Yeah, yeah.
we didn't talk too much about Jets football, but here's the thing, Matthias, is that I think that people who've been listening to the podcast throughout the year with myself and Ethan, we've had a tremendous guests on, but the common theme here is that it's not that we're selecting people. It just happens to be that you got a good group in that locker room, don't you? That
Yeah,
you guys have totally stuck together. And we talk about character and culture. We're seeing that come through here as you guys close the year, don't you think?
absolutely, absolutely. It really is a special group. I think, obviously the year has not gone how any of us wants it to go, how we've prepared for it to go, how we, came into the 2020 football season expecting it to go. But guys have really stuck together, and I think that it speaks more so to the character of the guys in the locker room. It's it's a different year. There's no fans. There's a lot of energy that you have to bring yourself. That we've definitely had some ups and downs, a lot of downs, and I think to have a locker room of guys that still show up to work, everybody shows up, trying to get better at something each and every day, and guys have really learned a lot about each other. I think COVID has made this group even closer in a lot of ways. There's different protocols we've all had to do. They move the locker room around, so typically you'll have the lineman on this side, D lineman on this side, linebackers over here, tight ends over here. So you're kind of always in your little pod or group, but because everybody kind of got mixed in together, it really, I think it really made the locker room a lot tighter. It's been a special group. Very grateful to have been a part of it, and then to win these last two games, given how the first 13 went, I just again speaks to the testament of the character of the guys in there and the love that we all have for each other and for the game. And we're going to go out there and compete at the highest level we can, week in and week out, and no one's going out there with any expectation but to try to get a win.
Awesome. Matthias, appreciate the time, man.
Yeah.
Great catching up. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to y'all. Take care.
Like we said earlier, EA, great dude, very interesting guy. I think you said it perfectly, a renaissance man. So let's turn the page now as the Jets, after winning 2 in a row, now face the New England Patriots in Foxborough to close out the 2020 season.
Number 2 overall selection in the 2021 draft. So we don't have to talk about that anymore, do we? We will certainly talk about the draft in the weeks and months ahead, but the Jets don't go into this game with their fan base not knowing what's going on as far as their draft status is concerned. They do have a second first-round pick that will be determined by the way the Seattle Seahawks finish up, but the Jets fans don't have to worry about the Jacksonville Jaguars this week. The Jaguars is going to pick number 1 overall. Number 2 is not a bad spot to be in at all. The Jets will certainly have their options, but you have to hand it to the guys in this locker room the way they have finished the season at 0-13, and they took pounding in that 13th game in Seattle. You thought, well, this team really could finish winless, but boy, have they got themselves off the mat. Go out to Los Angeles. They were a better team beating the Rams, and then they came back and took down the Cleveland Browns. And I know a lot of people are going to talk about what the Browns were dealing with from a COVID situation, especially at the wide receiver position, and no doubt that impacted them. But it's not like the Jets aren't dealing with a ton of injuries and roster shuffling themselves.
Yeah, the defensive line particularly played extremely well. I mean, Nathan Shepard had his second sack in as many games. John Franklin Myers had an increased role with no Quinnen Williams, and he's been great this year. John Franklin Myers, that is. And Frankie Louvu had a forced fumble. Terrell Basham had 2 forced fumbles. I mean, really a very, very good performance from that defensive line against the NFL's number 3 rushing attack. And now looking ahead to the Patriots, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with New England because they're locked out of the playoffs, right? There's no way that they're getting in. So, will it be Cam Newton? Will it be Jared Stidham? That's something that has been a topic for debate among, I'd say, many analysts the past couple weeks after New England was officially eliminated from the playoffs. And the Jets almost beat the Patriots on Monday Night Football in Week 9.
Go out and just win the game and finish with a 3-game winning streak. Yeah, 3-13, not good enough for anybody inside the organization, not good enough for anybody inside the locker room. With that being said, these guys demand respect by the way they have rallied here down the stretch. And again, it will not impact any draft status at the top of the draft, at the top of the 2021 draft. And this is unfamiliar terrain for all of us because the New England Patriots have not missed the playoffs since 2008. And they've had a command of the division all the way. You go back to 2002, when Tom Brady was playing full time. And that was the last time a Brady-led Patriots team did not win the AFC East. Of course, Matt Castle led them in 2008, but the Jets won the division with a 9-7 record in 2002. Yeah, you're right, because if the Jets go in to Foxborough and beat the Pats at Gillette, they would have came this close to sweeping them this season. This is a changed landscape inside the division. We talked about it all off season. Remember, we're doing all the previews with the division. Buffalo, they look like a contender in the AFC. I don't know if anybody's going to take down Kansas City, but the Bills are, if you're going to pick any team to compete with them, I don't know if you would take somebody over Buffalo right now. Miami, they can make the playoffs here this weekend. And they are also right on your heels as far as draft positioning. If their draft was held today, Miami would have the number 3 overall pick because they have Houston's pick. So they're set up long-term. And the Jets are going to have some changes in the offseason, as all teams do. And then we're going to have to see what New England looks like in 2021. But the AFC East is certainly looking a lot different. The landscape has changed, and a lot of teams are getting their acts together right now.
No doubt. And for a closer look at this Sunday's matchup, Jets-Patriots, let's hear from Bart Scott for our Victorinox Swiss Army Knife Player of the Game segment. Okay, Bart, what's your matchup to watch as the Jets take on the Patriots in the season finale in Foxborough?
It's going to be Sam Darnold, right? Yeah, he hasn't, yet to beat the Patriots as a Jet. I'm excited to see how he's going to perform, how he's going to try and build off of this performance from last week, see if he can continue to be clean. Bill's going to try and take away plan A for him and make him, win left-handed. I don't know if plan A is Crowder, his security blanket, or if it's a running game. Don't know if Frank Gore is going to come and play. I know he's had a injured lung. So it's going to be about Sam. And, if he can lead this team to victory and if he can find something to really grow on and be able to take the next step and hopefully go into the offseason to get better.
I'm going to Darnold's weapons on the outside. That's Brashad Perriman, who had more than 100 yards receiving against the Patriots the first time these two teams met, a game that Jets should have won, against J.C. Jackson and also Jason McCourty. No Stephon Gilmore in the lineup for the Patriots once again. The Jets will not see Gilmore at all this year. J.C. Jackson, 8 interceptions. We saw the Patriots play a lot of man coverage against the Jets in their first meeting, but like Bart said, he has his target on Sam Darnold. I'm looking at Darnold's targets on the outside, and very fascinated to see the matchup, to see if the Patriots continue to play a lot of man against these burners on the outside. This might be an opportunity for Denzel Mims to end his rookie year in style.
And then for me, I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to stick with the defensive line that played very well last week against the Cleveland Browns with Nathan Shepard, Lorenzo Fatukasi, John Franklin Myers, then even some of the linebackers like Terrell Basham and Frankie Louvu against the Patriots that have many running backs like Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, James White, Damian Harris, and then, of course, Cam Newton is a threat with his legs. If they neutralize Cam Newton, if they can neutralize that running game, that would give the Jets a very good chance to win, much like last week against the Cleveland Browns, putting the ball in Cam Newton's hands and daring him to throw the ball against this Jets secondary and this Jets defense. Okay, that's all we have for our Victorinox Swiss Army Knife Player of the Game segment, and that's another edition in the books of the official Jets podcast powered by Amazon Web Services. Bart, thank you so much for doing this all season long.
My pleasure.